volume kill or volume cuts. Well, it doesn't exist like that. There is no volume kill, there is no volume cut. We don't ship the airlines. What exists is equalization. We equalize at the end of the month, and you pay the average, you aggregate the weights with the pallets. So that's where the volume kill comes from. It's not that they ship the airlines. So a lot of you see all the time, you deal with Asia and you receive different rates every week. It's not that the airlines, they change the rates every week, but the entire market, the way it's built, the master loaders, basically, because of each one has a different mix with their own pallets, and each one have their own block space. They are the ones changing the rates. A lot of them, they're losing a lot of money at the low season, and they try to recover at the peak season. So that's what exactly drives the market in Asia, the rates. Swap. What is swap? Basically, is space exchange among wholesalers and master loaders. So the moment you have in Asia 1 or 2 block space agreements with some key airlines, with the right knowledge, with the right contacts, you can end up the right rate with any airline. You can have a block space on Emirates with 10 pallets a week into Europe, and if you're looking tomorrow to get the best rate on Singapore to the United States, you can go to the master loader of Singapore, you can exchange spaces, you can buy from there 2 pallets in a week for Los Angeles, for example, with a really, really low rate, and in exchange you give them 2 pallets a week on Emirates or on Cathay into Europe. So both are happy, they have a new market, a new trade lane, with a very low rate, with an airline that they don't have block space. And that's what's happening every single day at the major airports in Asia. You have all of these Airfreight players that basically they cook every day the demand and the needs and the rates. I have a small example. The ultimate goal is basically to achieve the better utilization you can on one pallet, mixing the right cargoes. And the beauty by having equalization is you know in advance what kind of cargo you need next week. And that's the beauty of Asia. So if in 1 week you have a lot of high-pitch cargoes, you know that next week you're looking for investment. So you have enough time to find the right mix and make money out of consolidation. So what does it take to become a professional airfreight forwarder in Asia? And that is with my experience in China for 10 years and with my Western mentality. And I try to simplify it and make it easy. At least 2 or 3 block space agreements with the airlines. And when I say only 2 or 3 with some key airlines, it's when you have that, you have a power and you are able to swap, you are able to exchange with the market. So you can end up with a good rate at any airline, as long as you have 2 or 3. A space broker is requirement, very important. That works only in Asia. You need to know who is who has a contract on this airline, who has on the other airline, which trade lanes are specialized, they need high-pitch cargo, they need volumetric, have they fulfilled their space with the airline, the dead space or not, are they selling below rate? That's very, very important. And that is not easy. It's a completely different business than a regular freight forwarding. It's like a stock market. So multiple vendors, that means wholesalers, call customers, local forwarders that will give you when you need the cargo and you need to fulfill your agreement with the airline, you have to source it locally because you don't have the time to go through your overseas agents. So you have to do it with local and freight forwarders. Networking, transparency, specialization. No one out of Asia, when it comes to airfreight, they can be specialized or they are specialized all over the world. And those who say so, they're lying. There's not a single one that is specialized everywhere. So you need to find the right partner that is specialized in your area if you want to develop airfreight out of Asia into your country. And very, very important, if you're an Asian freight forwarder for airfreight, you have to educate, you have to tell them how it works, you have to educate your overseas agent to sell at destination. Because everything is FOB, everything at the end of the day is controlled at destination. So how do we make money out of Asia and out of China? Basically, that's what it is. Most important is achieving the best utilization on a ULT. Mixing high-dense and volumetric cargoes. 1 ton or 2, 3 tons or 5 tons, it doesn't make any difference on the rate. And it's not something special when it comes to the volumes that we have out of Asia. But what it's really, really special is how dense, if it is something very high-dense, or how volumetric is your cargo. Then is where you get the right treatment, the right rate, because the consolidators they need this cargo for the best utilization, for the right mix. Killing volumes, which as I said before, it's not killing volumes to the airline. We achieve, we kill the volumes on the equalization and the right utilization of the pallet. But equalization at the end of the month. Simplify your rates as simple as possible when it comes to exports or to FOB. Sometimes I see emails coming in or out, and you can see 15, 20 different line of charges for a simple request of an EDU or an export. That's really bad. I mean, we want success, we have to simplify it as more as possible. Ad hoc market research, being in Asia, you always need to check. There's always somebody who hasn't fulfilled the block space with the airlines, or somebody that needs your specific cargo into their own pallet at a specific flight. So you can always get the right rate, but you need to have a space progress department to do ad hoc market research and find it out. And most important, you want to develop a trade lane for Airfreight. You need to stop thinking of a profit per file. You need to implement a profit per trade lane. And then every month or every 3 months, you will have to see how do you develop that. If you start thinking of not having red files, it's impossible to develop Airfreight in a new trade lane out of Asia. Invest to a trade lane long term. Try to maintain a rate validity, even if it doesn't work. You have to make one out of Asia. You want to develop a new trade lane, you will need to think that you have a virtual consolidation running already. Because that's the only way you can compete. Because your competitors, they have it already. If you start from zero, there's no way you get there. So you need to invest in it. So how does it work? Think virtually that you have a console running every video. That will drive your rate down. So thinking this way, you can enter to a level where you can develop a new trade lane and compete with the market. Centralize your profit centers. Happens in Asia a lot, especially in South China, where you can have like 5 offices in Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Xiamen, you name it, and at the end of the day, they can use different gateways. The more profit centers you have, the harder it is to develop a trade lane. Because then every office is trying to make money from specific trade lanes, so you don't really consolidate to a gateway. And then, very important, of course, traveling and meeting your partner, go for strategy meetings, developing consolidations, going for sales calls, of course. And very important, don't go into this game changing partners like shirts all the time. You will go nowhere. You need to invest to your partner. And I talk about Airfreight now, developing Airfreight always. Some case studies. As a standard airline operation, that's more or less how we work in Europe or in the United States or in some other areas. So, gross weight of 1,000 kilo, 2.40 cubic meter. So charger will weigh again 1,000 kilos. A pretty dense cargo, not high dense, but dense. Let's say you have a market buying rate from the airline at 320. You call in the airline, you get a spot weight because it's 1,000 kilos, get a 10 cents lower. You sell to the customer 330, so you end up with that ship buying rate at 310. You're making a 20 cents a kilo. So that's a very standard operation with the airline when you deal directly with the airline. Out of Europe, out of the United States, even out of Asia, when you have bulk cargoes that you deal directly with the airline. So that's a case study, a standard airline operation. That is the same one, that's a mixed ULD operation by a wholesaler out of Asia. And that's the difference. So the one example is when you go directly to the airline, and that's the second example when you're using the correct consolidator or a wholesaler for a specific trade. What's the difference? The difference is that a consolidator, having all of this equalization of the benefits and the mix with the ULT, they will offer a 270 instead of a 320, because they need these hybrids to make the right mix. So basically, you end up with an achieved rate of 270, and your profit is 50 to 60 cents a kilo. So it's more than 100% by utilizing a consolidator, a wholesaler, or a master, or whatever you name it, on a ratio.